Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a magnifying glass to an object you probably see or even use every single day, an accessory so common that we just completely overlook the engineering history hidden inside it. We're going to be tracing the lineage of the modern quartz banger.
The great topic.
Yeah, and you shared a fantastic stack of sources for this, really charting that crucial tech transition from titanium to quartz. So our mission here is to pull out the names, the ideas, and the moments where this thing was basically invented and refined. It's about finding the quiet architects.
And to really appreciate those architects, we have to understand the problem they were solving first. Before quartz was, culture, the whole landscape was just functional but flawed. We really need to set the historical stage to get why the switch was so necessary. For flavor, for everything.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you flash back with us to the early 2010s, the scene is, it's dominated by titanium nails, usually domed ones. Companies like Highly Educated Tim were kind of leading the charge, right? Making grade 2 titanium the standard.
It was the best game in town, for sure. But it was problematic best.
How so?
Well, the historical accounts, they all point to the same user complaints. First, Tia delivered a powerful hit, no doubt, but it came with this really noticeable metallic taste.
Which would just mask everything you're trying to taste.
Exactly. And worse, the thermal expansion was so intense, it would frequently crack the glass joints on people's rigs. And functionally, it got so hot so fast, it was basically just flash cooking the material on contact.
You can almost smell that burnt metallic flavor just reading those old forum posts.
You really can.
Yeah.
And that created this urgent, almost desperate underground search for something cleaner, a better material.
And this is where we find our first innovator, the person who was already in motion, Ron Rawson of Pukinbeagle Glass.
Rawson is so interesting because he wasn't just reacting. He was already solving the problem before most people even knew it was a problem.
So while everyone else is torching red-hot tea in, late 2008?
He's already shaping fused quartz. His whole goal, even back then, was about better heat retention and, pure flavor, years before the market cared.
And this wasn't just theory, right? The sources have this key detail. In 2008, he literally duplicated the design of a highly educated Thai nail.
But he made it out of pure quartz for Everdream Studio. And then he made hundreds more.
Wow.
That one move basically proved the material was viable, and from there, he just kept going. His early forms, the funnels, the swings, the first real bucket designs, they're described as being like precision tools.
He wasn't just a glass blower, he was an engineer.
He was an engineer, absolutely.
Right, okay, so if he was making funnels and swings back then, those don't look exactly like the bangers we see today. What made those early designs so critical?
That's the core of his legacy. Rawson is credited with creating the first-gen thermal ideas. It wasn't just that he chose quartz. He figured out how to use quartz.
What does that mean, exactly?
It means he was the one pioneering deeper buckets for better heat, creating layered surfaces, and this is the most important, part welding joints that were strong enough for endless heating and cooling.
So he proved it could be a system, not just some fragile one-off thing.
Exactly. He is basically the origin of the whole thermal bucket concept.
So that blueprint, that idea of a quartz system, leads us directly to the next crucial step, locking in the form. And that chapter, according to the sources, happens inside Mothership Glass with Scott Deppe.
Deppe provides the structural bridge. He built on Rawson's material choice, but he crafted what our sources call the critical perpendicular bucket welds on minis.
Perpendicular. So help us visualize this. The joint is always the weak spot, right?
Always. So Deppe attached a solid piece of working glass, what they call a punty, straight down from the joint into the bucket. A solid anchor.
So the punty, the rod they used to handle the glass, he just left it there as a support.
He turned that working tool into the structural anchor. That solid post, that right angle weld, gave it the strength it needed for daily use. It's the design link between Rawson's swings and what we have now.
And then came the final definitive refinement. The one that, it cemented the silhouette we all recognize today.
And that came from Quave Glass, who, not coincidentally, came up under Deppe.
Right.
Quave took Deppe's solid perpendicular weld and evolved it into a bent, hollow weld. So instead of a solid rod, the hollow joint tubing itself was bent and then welded cleanly to the side of the bucket.
That sounds like a small change, but I'm guessing it was huge.
It was huge. It wasn't just for looks. It meant less glass at the weld, so less thermal mass. The whole thing was lighter, cleaner, and way better balance on the rig. It actually reduced the stress on the main joint.
And the result of that was the Quave Club banger.
The legendary QCB.
If you look at almost any banger on the market now, I mean, the DNA, the design, it goes straight back to that moment. The flat top, the precise angles, the directional caps, that's the foundation.
And if we just pause there for a second, that sequence Rawson's material, Deppe's structure, Quave's refinement, it didn't just create a new product. It created an entire market, a new standard, almost overnight.
It's important to stress, though, that while those three names are the spine of the story, the sources are clear this wasn't just a few lone inventors.
Oh, not at all. This was a collaborative, underground engineering crew, as one source puts it.
An ecosystem of innovation.
Absolutely. While the form was being locked down, you had other people pushing the mechanics. For instance, a maker known as Worm out in Colorado was developing quartz puddle swings and these proto-banger mechanics, just constantly refining heat interaction.
And you can't overlook J-Red Glass. He gave us a massive piece of the puzzle. The diamond knot.
A huge piece of tech.
Yeah, that's this high surface area quartz insert that you put right into the heating surface, and it just fundamentally changes the heat behavior.
All these parallel innovations were happening. They were all needed to make quartz not just a new material, but a truly superior system.
And the takeover was fast.
It was incredibly fast. By the mid-2010s, quartz had made titanium pretty much obsolete. And that basic form paved the way for all the variations we see now: thermals, opaque bottoms, slurpers, blenders.
But they're all built on that core structure.
Every single one.
Okay, so let's tie this whole thread together for everyone listening. When you look at the evolution here, you're really looking at a very clear architectural sequence.
It's a perfect DNA trail. You have three main steps. Ron Rawson's 2008 experiments proving quartz was the material. That was step one.
The proof of concept.
Then you have Scott Deppe's perpendicular weld, which provided the structural bridge it needed to be durable.
And finally, Quave's bent hollow weld, which refined it into that clean, balanced, and now globally recognized silhouette.
That's the sequence right there.
And that really shows the true legacy of someone like Ron Rawson. He's not a footnote. He's the quiet architect who changed the material science of the entire industry. He set the stage for everything that followed.
It's a perfect example of how real innovation starts in this, obscure, high-precision niche, driven just by the desire for better quality.
So the next time you find yourself reaching for that little piece of crystal clear glass, we hope you'll just pause for a second and appreciate the surprising complexity and all the collaborative history hidden inside.
And before we sign off, here's a thought to chew on. Given how quickly quartz completely replaced titanium based purely on taste and efficiency, less than 5 years.
Yeah.
What material or what structural innovation might be quietly being prototyped right now in some random shop that could make quartz obsolete in the next decade? The pace of change here is just relentless.
That is a fascinating question, something for us all to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the engineering revolution of the quartz banger. We'll see you next time.